and then finally become a great power. That one's fairly self-explanatory. And I've taken great use out of the great power system. The great power system is a really nice way of just scoring people as they get more development and technologies and stuff like that. And you can easily sort and shift people around as they go up and down in the great powers list. Like, for example, Poland's goal is to become the #1 great power. Big battle in Labourd. I'd kind of forgotten that these guys were still fighting. It's just occupations, then reoccupy, then unoccupy, then reoccupy. But it does look like Burgundy is now losing. France has 124,000 troops on their side. France, Denmark, England, Florence. The Ottomans. Venice. Yeah, that's a lot of players on their side versus Burgundy, Aragon, Castile, Portugal. This is the Iberian Alliance, and I really do like that this is like the Iberian Alliance. I do wonder if that's going to stick together, but they don't have any conflicting goals in Iberia. Colonial competition is definitely a thing. Like, there's going to be a lot of colonial competition between these guys. But in terms of, like, homeland competition, there isn't really. Maybe have the Ottomans convert places like Crimea, Ukraine, the Caucasus. Heck, you can have them convert Russia, create conflicts with Poland, Muscovy. They've already got a lot of conflicts with Poland and Muscovy. The Ottoman goal... In fact, let's run through the Ottomans. So their objective is to own Vienna. So they need to take that from Austria. They need to own Cairo from the Mamluks. They need to ensure that Egypt, the Maghreb, and the Horn of Africa are fully Islamic. So while Castile is trying to convert this, the Ottomans want to stop them from converting this. They need to own Rome. So the Ottomans are going after Rome. They're gunning for the Pope. And they need to ensure the Treaty of Westphalia. So that one is going to be one that needs to change. So I don't actually have that many competitions with Poland, so maybe that is something I should draw on. Interesting. Poland strong, can into space. I mean, Poland's doing quite well so far. Poland's going after the Teutons. So if Poland owns East and West Prussia, that stops Brandenburg getting their goal. In fact, it also stops Brandenburg from forming Prussia. So this is going to cause some consternation between these two, I suspect, seeing as the two are allied at the present. And Brandenburg really needs to keep their allies close. Converting a set number of provinces is impossible to judge. There needs to be some set number on like the ledger which I can refer to. So saying something like convert 20 provinces is impossible to track. Lithuania is not a player, no. It was one of the nations which I added in the second wave of nations once the first wave had filled, but no one chose it. So the second wave was Sweden, Lithuania, Novgorod, Milan, Aragon. I think one or two others, but I don't remember who. Morocco, maybe? Let's go, Scotland! Scotland's not looking too healthy right now. Scotland were attacked by England, brought in their ally Burgundy, but then didn't succeed. France is now counter-attacking against the Burgundians, so Burgundy has definitely lost this. The Iberians have now pieced out. Nothing gained, nothing lost. I do wonder if they pieced out for money. Does not look like it. So France is going to be recovering from this war for quite a while. They are pretty heavily in debt at this point. They are 1,500 ducats in debt, compared to the Burgundians, who have also gone quite heavily into debt, but they have actually got no loans. So is somebody paying them off? They're getting war reparations from Milan. They pieced out an AI. They're not getting subsidies, though. Maybe just gifts from somebody? They also paid off a bunch of their inflation. So Burgundy is being pretty good about their financial awareness. It's okay, Scotland's about to crush England in football, so I'm okay with them losing here. Fair enough, Caitlin. Huzzah! Smiller has resubbed for 4 months now. Thank you very much for that, Smiller. I appreciate your support here and your continued support. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright, let's see what else is going on. I do want to keep an eye on this, but I'm also aware that this war is kind of lagging into its late stages. France is offering peace. Siege Dijonais, Franche-Comté, Auxerrois. Release or overlordship of Holland. So France is trying to get Holland independent. Holland is, of course, a player nation now. And then pay some money. Not a huge amount of money. So France seems to be pretty confident that they can overcome their financial woes in other ways. Possibly thanks to their alliance with Venice. What's Genoa doing? So there should be a lot of competition between Genoa and Venice. Most of it financial. Who are your allies? Genoa? Austria, the Pope. And that's it. Okay. And then Venice has France and the Ottomans. Venice is allied with the Ottomans. Really? Because Venice also has a couple of reasons to see the Ottomans fall. So I'm not expecting that alliance to be particularly permanent, but an interesting alliance of convenience nonetheless. Where's Marshall playing? Marshall's not playing. His computer, I don't think, can run this. So Burgundy have now peaced out. The second major war of the game is over. And yes, Burgundy lost a bunch of their French territories to France. They've kept their Belgian ones and their northern French, but the central ones are gone, which is actually going to make life harder for Austria. Ah, crap. That was a add these to the HRE goal. Oh, I like that one, because that gave Austria and France reasons to clash. I need to think about that one as well. Damn it, that guy! I love that you did this, but I also hate you for it. And that's it. No player wars at all anymore. 1452. And the world, at least between the players, is at peace. So now we're going to see a bit of a consolidation phase, I believe. Something which usually happens in multiplayer is everyone tries to gobble up all the territories immediately around them to try and take as much territory as they possibly can. That didn't really happen yet. We've had the players going after the players and ruining a couple of economies. I do wonder, is there a way of seeing the amount of debt people are in? Unfortunately, I don't think there is. Score over time. It's not score I want to see, it's debt. No, I don't think so. So Poland still going after the Teutons. Brandenburg going after Mecklenburg. Hamburg going after Saxe-Lauenburg. So Hamburg is growing a little bit now. The Ottomans are currently fighting against Serbia and Bosnia to take over more of the Balkan region, which is why we really wanted Hungary here. Hungary's goal is to stop the Ottomans doing just this, so it's kind of disappointing that he's not here at the moment. Inflation kind of does. That's a good point. Can we see inflation? That's just your own loans. Inflation. I want to see... Screw it. We're going to do this. We're going to go... Oh man, it's going to take a while. Aragon. Hamburg. Burger. Hey.
So my 656 ruler died at age 18.
Oh. That sucks.
And his replacement, a 112.
Really?
This to rub the salt in the wounds.
But, Helson, you're kind of famous for having the most ridiculous leaders consistently.
Yeah, apparently. And this is like the one, like, you didn't even get an event where you choose the heir, because the heirs are usually really good to choose from.
Interesting. So Suleiman the Magnificent has died at the age of 18.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's like losing Frederick the Great at the age of 16.
So a little annoying, yes.
Well, I guess the nations around you are going to be cheering that.
Yeah, they're probably all happy.
Yeah, probably. Did you get anything from the Mamluks during that war, or was that just a white piece for you?
No, I got Antioch,
Oh,
and which is now Syria.
you and your vassals. Fair enough.
I don't like vassals at all.
A likely story.
All right, I didn't think you would notice that, and
No, I definitely wouldn't
I'll
have.
let you know.
Apparently, you need to wait for the ruler to turn 30 before you get the choices. So if they die before 30, then you don't.
Yeah, well, this guy, he's sieging down, so I'll take my chances. It can't be much worse than a 1-1-2, so.
I really hope he lives until 70 now. That would be hilarious.
I will literally stick him on a mountain with every 50,000 troops and make him train.
Right, everyone, target practice. What's the target? Him.
The Emperor.
Well, good luck getting a new one.
All right.
What was I doing? I was checking something. Right, I was seeing who people are at war with. So Calico is indeed at war against Provence and Lorraine. So this is just trying to absorb the other nations around France. There's no real surprise there. Although, doesn't Provence start as a vassal? No, Provence doesn't. It's like Nevers. Does it? Brittany doesn't. I know that. Brittany allied with Kelra. That's not going to last for very long. I do remember when I was playing as France in the Clash of the Titans, where Bussy was playing as England and Igel was Castile. Brittany had a freaking alliance with Austria, and it was the most annoying thing ever. Provence starts an ally. Okay. Brandenburg's fighting against Mecklenburg and Verden. Ottomans we already know. Trier is fighting against Mainz, Nassau and Hesse. So there is now no real reason why Germany can't just coalesce and take more territories. This is going to punish the smaller German nations, unfortunately, but frankly it's their fault for allying with Brandenburg. And then the Mamelukes are fighting against Medina, Dawashir and Hossa. Then Austria fighting against Switzerland. Austria trying to grab some of that juicy Swiss territory early on. Is anyone playing as Naples? Yes, we do have a Neapolitan player. So if we just go over to the player map mode once again, we can see precisely who is being played here. Europe is busy. Europe is very busy. We have an England, a Scotland. Oh, Scotland is subjugated. Scotland's a vassal. That may cause problems for England in the future. Player vassals don't usually like staying as player vassals, and they tend to go looking for independent supporters from elsewhere. Burgundy, Holland, France. Holland was released, so we now have an independent Holland who is going to be clashing with Burgundy and also clashing with Castile, because all of them have an objective for the Low Countries. We have Aragon, Castile, Portugal, Genoa, Florence, Papal States, Naples. Is Naples independent? Naples is also independent. Interesting. So either Aragon released them. Yeah, they must have. I can't see Aragon having released Naples willingly. Because they weren't occupied or anything. Calico wouldn't have had the war score against them. So these two must have come to an agreement. Papal States, Florence, Venice, Austria, Ottomans, Poland, Muscovy, Denmark, Brandenburg, Saxony, Cologne, Trier, Hamburg. I think that's all the player nations. Mamluks? Did I say Mamluks? I think I said Mamluks. And we are supposed to have a Hungary player here, but he's not here today. A Karkanyulu player, and then a Tunis player. Tunis did say that he would be arriving late, so we should still see our Tunis appear at some point. And then Karkanyulu over here, the furthest east nation. How is Genoa doing? Genoa's been pretty quiet so far. They were in the war on the Papal States side, probably to oppose Venice from growing too much. But otherwise have been fairly quiet, I think. Nope, this is all the same. They have not grown in Crimea at all, nor have they tried to get rid of those provinces. I did wonder if they would try. Usually when I'm playing as Genoa, I try to get rid of these because they're just a liability. Alright, so while this is paused for some reason, we can talk about the next nation, which is Denmark. So Denmark's objectives are to own 4 centres of trade in the Baltic. So they need to have 4 Baltic centres of trade. So if we go to the trade map mode, they need to have Stockholm, Danzig, Königsberg, or Riga. So 4 of the 1, 2, 3. In fact, they need to have all 4 of them. They need to have... or 6 centres of trade in Lubeck. So that is... oh, now I can't tell. Akershus. Either of those in Norway. Either of these 2 in Denmark. Or Lubeck, Hamburg, Bremen, or Stettin, I want to say. All of those are like famous Hanseatic cities as well. So historically, Denmark had a really big struggle against the Hansa for domination over the Baltic, especially Baltic trade, and that's basically reflecting this. And all of their centres of trade in those regions must be level 2. So 4 centres of trade of level 2 in the Baltic, or 6 centres of trade of level 2 in Lubeck. They must win the Religious League War, which is now irrelevant. They need to own Yorkshire, East Midlands, and East Anglia, so basically the nations of Danelaw, which is why I'm so surprised that they got an alliance with England, because they need to take this, this, and this. Basically the east coast of England in order to win, or in order to get that goal. They need to have a colonial nation. Sorry, they need to own or have a colonial nation in Newfoundland, in America, which is the supposed Viking colony in... well, it's not supposed, that's actually been proven. It's the Viking colony of Vinland. They need to own Vinland. How can I not have a Viking nation not trying to get Vinland? That would just be weird. And they need to own Normandy from France, which would definitely be a difficult one. But Normandy, hints in the name, Norman, used to be a Norse nation. Basically, Denmark are the Vikings, or the Neo-Vikings. How do vassals work with a point system? Can you win while being a vassal? I don't see why not. Yeah. Mordred did miss what I said about abandoning Scotland to their fate. I can't really help against England. Faceless, you shouldn't be here. Stop looking at Twitch. Don't think we will. Germany now needs to work together to keep out the threats of both the Otto blob and the French blob. And they also need to stop their own blobs from blobbing, because like Austria has no reason not to anymore, so we'll probably see Austria going rather more aggressive against the likes of Bavaria, Ulm, Ansbach, Nuremberg, Switzerland. Bohemia, same. Brandenburg, same. Saxony, even to a slightly lesser extent, same. Like, Saxony is actually quite a large, wealthy nation, and they're going to be even larger and wealthier in the update. Like, I like what they're doing with Saxony, because Saxony was one of the most powerful nations in the HRE as a HRE state, and that's, I feel, never really been reflected in this. Same with Bavaria. Both of these could really do with a bit of a boost. Bavaria would be a cool player nation. It was one of the options. They went with Trier and Cologne instead. Well, it was basically any German minor. So the ones I wanted to fill first were Bohemia, Austria, Brandenburg, Saxony, and then any other minor. No, Saxony was one of the minors. I chose to play as them. Probably, but since to be that big to win, you would be fair to... wait, what? New goals for Austria. Have under control Tianjin, concessions to Tianjin reference. Have a Habsburg be the largest dynasty in the world. The dynastic ones are impossible, because players will simply refuse to marry them. Colonize Australia. I don't want to force them to be colonial. And culture convert Bosnia, Slovenia, Serbia regions to be Austrian. That one's not bad. Although they already have the objective to keep the Ottomans out. I don't want to have too many overlapping objectives for the same nation. Which is why one of the reasons I wanted to get rid of Brandenburg forming Prussia. Because one of their objectives was also own East and West Prussia. So I kept the own East and West Prussia, but they no longer need to form Prussia.